What is up, YouTube? Hope we are doing well and welcome back to another video. So today, super simple video, not fancy, not jazzy. It is literally just going to be a full day of eating. So I'm going to take you through what I'm eating at 12.5 weeks out to get shredded. I've got 9 weeks to my photo shoot. I've got 12.5 weeks till my first show. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm eating and exactly what I'm doing every single day to make sure that every single week I get leaner and I get closer to being shredded. Promise you now, I will be shredded in about 7 or 8 weeks, and I'll be showing you every single week the exact steps that I took to get there and make sure that I'm making progress every single week with my physique. We are back from 25 minutes cardio. That's 25 minutes on the stairs, level 6, level 8, keep going, steady state. We're now into meal 1. We have got 1 bagel, which is 45 grams of carbs. We have got 40 grams of whey, 20 grams of dark chocolate, and 100 grams of berry. And then I'm weird, so I've got 1 gram of salt on this as well. And then I dip this, and I basically make a jam onto the bagel. Lovely burnt and cold. That is meal 1. I'm gonna eat this, finish my check-ins, go for a walk on my walking pad that's down here, and then we'll continue to reconvene on the day. But simple. Carbs, fats, protein, sodium, potassium from the salt for hydration. I've also drunk some electrolytes this morning. I'll drink this by about 7:30, so in the next hour, and then I'll get another 1.5 litre bottle in by sort of 9:30. By the time I train, it should be 3 litres in. That way I can make sure I'm hydrated, I'm fueled through carbohydrates, and I'm primed to have a good session, a good pump, which I might show you some clips of. I'm probably not going to show you clips of the session, but I might pose after. I say I'm filming with Mike today, so I might just pose after and just overlay it into this. Okay, meal 2. Super simple. Super simple. Like I said, my diet at the moment is extremely simple. Obviously, being on prep, simplicity is key. So we've got 65 grams of uncooked, nearly lost it there, uncooked rice. We have got, I'm hoping this is enough, 140 gram of cooked chicken, which, let's hope, nope, that is not enough, bollocks. We've got 140 gram of that, which means probably not actually going to have enough post-workout either, bollocks. Okay, well I need to cook some chicken today then, or some more chicken. That gives me 150. And listen, tip here is if you are someone that does like to prep meals or prep foods / protein in bulk, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. But one thing I will say is just try and make sure that your cooking conditions every single time are as consistent as you possibly can. So I cook mine air fryer, 200 degrees for 15 minutes every single time. So that way I know that the amount of chicken that I'm going to get is relatively consistent. So if you're someone that cooks on a pan, or 1 week you cook it for 10 minutes, the next minute you cook it, the next week you cook it for 20 minutes, the next week you cook it for 40 minutes, the longer we cook it, the more fluid we're going to lose from the food, the more dehydrated or shriveled it's going to be, the more meat you'll actually be eating. So obviously if we are doing that, there is potential for a huge amount of variance in the amount of meat that you could be eating, and then in turn the amount of the amount of calories that you could be eating. For example, chicken breast obviously isn't too bad, but if I was, for example, having a beef mince and one day it was 200 grams uncooked, the next day it was 300 grams uncooked because of the way that I've cooked it, that's an extra 20 grams of protein, an extra 5 grams of fat if it's lean beef. So, when we think about it like that, that's an extra 120 calories. We do that for you know, 3 meals a day, you've added 300 calories just from that alone. That's then presuming that you don't add sauces, you don't add, you don't do the same with your carb sources. So my preference with things, if you can't cook it the same every single time, is to weigh it uncooked. Example, I always weigh my rice uncooked because I'm not going to put the exact amount of water in my rice each time. So if I just do, I've got 3 meals of 65 grams, put 185 grams in, 195 grams in the morning. Well, I actually do 130 and then I cook that last meal fresh. But I do 130 and then I do 65 for the last meal. That way I know that my 65 grams of rice uncooked is 65 grams of rice uncooked. Along with the chicken and the rice, I also got 10 grams of coconut oil because medium chain triglycerides, it's a fat source which is going to obviously slow down digestion a little bit. It's going to have a little bit of an improvement in kind of bile flow, but it's also a short chain triglyceride or short chain fatty acid, which means that the ability for me to digest it and break it down because of the length of the molecule is much quicker than say an avocado or, you know, some other fat source that other people might typically put in there. For me, I want to feel empty when I'm training. I don't like feeling full. I don't like belching. I don't like burping up shit. So I'm out of teriyaki sauce. This is a sad day. And then I usually put 15 grams of teriyaki sauce on it as well, which I'm not going to get. 1 gram, brilliant. Love that. That's why you always have backup. And then with this meal, there's actually no fruit in this meal. However, I've got 300 grams of fruit in my post-workout, so I do actually just split it. I have 150 pineapple now, and then I have 150 berries with my post-workout. That's not in my plan how it is, but I like to have some fruit pre-training for the mix of fructose and glucose. Increases our ability to uptake carbohydrates. So for me, it just makes sense to put some carbs in here. And I also don't need to eat 300 grams of fruit post-training because then I normally shit myself or need a shit straight after, which you don't need. So that is meal 2. Meal 2 has been done. And because I'm going to show everything that I eat and drink and do to maximize performance, we've got pre-ink going in now, which is a non-stim, as I actually don't like using stims. I actually don't use any stims at all, to be honest. I will use caffeine maybe twice a week, as I don't really like the way that it makes me feel, and I actually feel like it makes me feel more tired than actually feeling better. So I typically don't use caffeine really, as I don't really feel like it does much for me. But I do use nicotine, and I do use the occasional modafinil because they do make me feel better and they do make me perform better. Now, I should have actually got some nicotine gum this morning, because when you got nicotine, something about the way that it makes the brain waves flow, it just does something that nothing else can do for me, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, enough waffling. All we've got going in now is 25-minute drive to the gym, and then we have got the pre going in, which has got beta-alanine, citrulline, I think glycerol as well, and then the typical sodium, potassium stuff that's going to help with hydration. This one's a bit of a weird one because it is a non-stim, but because it does have a high dose of beta-alanine in, it does still give you those horrible tingles, which I do not like. So I'm going to drink this when I'm 20 minutes away from the gym. Should give it time to kick in, should give me time to let the itches leave, and then we'll get into the push session, and I'll pick you back up when I pose, and then I'll pick you back up when I am home for post-workout meal. Again, there's no intra carbs in this session. I forgot my water as well, brilliant. There's no intra carbs in this session, so I don't have carbs, I don't do EAAs to be honest, for me, I just like to just drink water. When I do find when I do have too much like sucralose and all that sort of stuff across the day, it does just make me feel bloated and gassy, and it doesn't really then serve its purpose. If you're trying to use something to improve performance, or you're trying to use something to make you perform and feel better, if it causes bloating, if it causes gas, if it causes distension, if it doesn't make you feel good, then it's not really doing anything other than the opposite of what you want it to do. Obviously, intra-carbs are used so that we don't deplete muscle glycogen completely and we can replenish that. But for me, I don't train that long. My sessions take like an hour and 15 minutes, so I don't typically need to replenish as such. And then I also don't like them because it upsets my stomach. So yeah, peace. I'm gonna drink my pre, I'm gonna get some tunes on, I'm gonna get the sunroof down, and I'm gonna get ready for a big session. Yeah, post-workout, pretty much the same as pre, to be honest. 65 rice, uncooked. 140 chicken again. In this meal, I do put a little bit of veg in, so I do have some peppers that I chuck in. 65 rice, no coconut oil in this meal, but I do have 15 grams of honey in it still. Actually, let me check. I still have the honey in actually, because I feel like it might not be in there. I think I still have 15 grams of honey. Yeah, I still have 15 grams of honey. So 65 rice, 140 cooked chicken, 15 honey, and then 150 grams of berries, which my selection, I normally do a mix of raspberries and blueberries, and then I put cinnamon over the top. So frozen raspberries, frozen blueberries, and then cinnamon on top because it slaps. So I typically go 75 of each. I mean, that's got 80 grams of that, so just finish that. And then I'll just probably do the rest of the blueberry bag as well, because that'll probably be about, and then 150 of that. That's 152. 150.8, that's too much. Right, 149.8. So yeah, that is that. A couple of reasons for the cinnamon. Main one being it tastes good, but in terms of like insulin sensitivity, Ceylon cinnamon, which is what this one is, there's studies that show that it does increase insulin sensitivity, which, not that I need it because I am lean, or I'm getting lean, I'm eating in a calorie deficit, but I'm a bro at heart, and in my head, if I'm more insulin sensitive, can get leaner quicker and I can build more muscle. So that's just a bro in me. Legit, that makes no difference. I just put it on there because it tastes good. That is those. I'm not going to have enough chicken, which is brilliant. I think I've got like 90 grams of chicken, which is not ideal. Yeah, 93 grams of chicken, not ideal, but oh well. I'll just make up the rest of this with extra. I'll see what I've got in the fridge. I'll probably do like some whey to match that. So I think I need an extra 15 grams of protein. So I'll probably do an extra 20 grams of whey to match it. So I don't have any more chicken cooked. And I don't want to put mince in, which is all I've got cooked. So that's just brilliant. And again, another thing I will say, if you can, I'm my fucking worst angle ever. If you have the ability to, don't microwave your food. Put it back in a pan because it tastes way fucking better. Way better. And I like to cut my chicken up nice and small so I don't have to chew it as much, so that digestion is better. As otherwise, I typically just inhale the shit and don't fucking chew it. and then wonder why I have GI issues. Whilst this is actually cooking, I can actually feel myself going a touch too excitable still. So I'm actually going to cook this, and then I'm going to just do a few minutes of just breathing. Just going to close my eyes and breathe, and then I'll eat it. I need to put the rice in there as well. My rice. Tip as well, if you do actually use a rice cooker to cook rice, and then you're one of those that don't leave the rice cooker on all day, once you turn the rice cooker off, just put an extra 25 to 50 ml of water in it, and it will actually keep your rice a little bit soft so it doesn't go as sticky and gooey and rank, or as dry. And it also means you don't have any remnants left on the pan that you then can't get off pan rice cooker. So yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this. I'll see you at meal 4. In meal 4, we have got 140 grams of cooked beef, 100 grams of veg, 65 grams of uncooked rice. And what you will see here is, what you'll have seen so far is I've got carbohydrates in every single meal. At the moment, my carbs are still at 370. Now this is only possible because I spent time in a calorie surplus, building calories up to a semi-decent spot. I got to a point where calories were at, I think, 3,800, about 600 grams of carbs per day. But if I hadn't have spent that time building the calories up, I wouldn't be in a position now where I can lose about 1 kilo of body fat per week eating this amount of food. So if you're someone that's struggling to drop body fat, understand that sometimes we have to spend time out of a deficit to build our calories up, to prime our body to be able to lose body fat at a later date. That's meal 4. I'm going to enjoy it, and now I've got one more meal to wrap up the day. In for the final meal of the day. It is the following day, and it is the day before check-in day, so food is probably going to get dropped tomorrow. Now, the final meal, like I said, 75 grams of cream of rice, 40 grams of whey, 100 grams of berries, and then I've got 15 grams of dark chocolate in here. As you can see, food is super simple. Whole foods, for the most part. Single ingredient foods, things that are going to keep me satiated, things that are going to keep me full, but also things I enjoy eating. Because the most important thing when it comes to fat loss and when it comes to getting results is adherence. If you can't sustain the diet, if you can't adhere to the diet, doesn't matter how perfect it is on paper, you're not going to get results. So if you enjoyed it, like, share, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and I will make another one of these in probably about 2 or 3 weeks when more food has been adjusted. You can see how food's been adjusted, and you can see the changes that we make as we get leaner to still prioritize performance, to not see a drop off in performance, but also to ensure that we're dropping body fat every single week.